Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and today we are talking about the Edmonton Oilers, and is the hype for realsies with this team? Are they for real, or is this team all washed up and is screwed? Screwed, I say, for the Edmonton Oilers. Let's talk about it. So, I've been thinking it's been pretty nuts lately, right? That so many, all these channels I see on like Instagram, scrolling through reels, and I see all these people. You go to Empty Netters, you go to freaking Spittin' Chicklets, you go to all like the top channels or whatever, even these random one-off fucking shit show like channels that no one cares about. Like, you see these like random things, they all go like, okay, ranking the top 5 Stanley Cup winners next year. And I'll be like listening, I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And they go like number 5, like the Predators. And I'm like, okay, so just buying into like the hype that's gone on. I get that. And then they'll be like 4 is the Stars. And I'm like, pretty low. Okay, that's kind of who would be my number 1 or 2, and then they say like the Panthers and someone else, but then number 1 is always the freaking Oilers, and I do not understand it. And I get, okay, I do get it, because all these people wanted to get the big franchises, get the big fan bases to buy into it, and I get that. I should probably do that too, but I'm too good to actually give my opinion about all these teams and just lie to all you people and give you false hope. The Edmonton Oilers, a team that really is at the top of the league when it comes to being a fantastic team, but with some glaringly obvious issues, okay? Because with McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, they were so close. They saw the light. They saw the light. They were like, there it is, and they were like, oh, it's coming. And then it went pulled away by the Florida Panthers, right? And they were that close. 1 win away. 1 win. But the team was held back by being if they were stinted, not 3-0 by the time they tried to make a comeback, I would have thought they would have won the Stanley Cup. If it was not 3-0 and they let them try to get charged back and have that one opportunity to lose, I would have said they could have won it. If the series was 2-2 or something like that, maybe. But overall, I think that this team, they lost that series because of their issues. They're underlying. Their issues about their actual team, the roster that they put on the ice, has some obvious issues, and especially in net and on defense. And they leaned into offense this offseason, and everyone, freaking Ryan Whitney, the sound, I can't have no voice, I'm an idiot, guy, like, he's like talking to, Jeff Skinner's gonna go from no cup, the most games of no cup, to 1, and I'm just like, no, he's not. And with Victor Arvidsson, and yes, I like the additions that the Oilers made, right? Jeff Skinner, 24 goals, 46 points last year. For adding him plus Arvidsson, having now like a very, 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 very solid top 9. And I mean super solid. Like, top line, you can have like McDavid. Like, you have McDavid, Hyman, and someone. You can fill in a gap there. And then you got Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and someone. You can fit Arvidsson, Skinner, like whatever like the third guy of these pairings are. And then they keep Adam Henrique. So you have like Henrique, Evander Kane, and someone, and they have all these potential like someones. Like, I know I'm saying like someone, but like you have the Arvidssons, you have the Skinners, you have the Holloways, you have the Connor Browns if he finally if he plays like the way he did in the playoffs. Like, you have like options, and then the fourth line, you still have Janmark, you still have like I said, Connor Brown. I know I'm forgetting someone. I look like Corey Perry. Like, well, Corey Perry at this point, I don't really know what to think about him anymore. I like Corey Perry, but he's definitely getting up there where it's like, I don't know. But anyways, like, offensively, they have 4 lines they can roll onto the ice. And if you look at a team like Vegas or any of these teams, you need 4 offensive lines that you can roll and roll and roll. But there is an issue with that, right? Is because a team like the Oilers are very different than a team that won the Stanley Cup, like the Vegas Golden Knights, where Vegas didn't have to rely on a guy like McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Hyman to get a bunch of points for them to win. And with all these lineups, sure, they don't need to rely on them so much, right? Like, they do have some good pieces that they can roll on the ice and play offense. But there is an issue. Because with a team like Vegas, they did that because they needed those rolling lines, like even the team they played up and lost against in the Florida Panthers. They had all these lines that they could put on the ice, and they did so many different things. You see the ads of Arvidsson and Skinner, and you have those guys, right? Like McDavid, like not to say like, oh, these guys are all one-dimensional, but these are all offensive players, right? You look at a team like Florida with Anton Lundell and Luos Ryan down the lineup, and you keep like Rodriguez's. Like, you look down the lineup of these teams, and they're two-way guys. They're playing at both ends. They play a 200-foot game, and led by guys like Barkov and Kachuk and Sam Reinhart, where they're two-way guys. The Oilers, they're not fueling up their offensive lines where they can let McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, some other breakout guy like Jeff Skinner, like, have their way with it on the ice and score points and then roll the lines to play competitive, like, cutthroat hockey down the lineup. No, they are leaning into the offense. It's like if you go to a restaurant and you're just like, yes, I would like the steak, and on the side of the steak, I would like steak tartare. And on side of that, I would like some steak fries. And it's just like, yeah, okay, you have steak, but like you have no, I mean, I know steak fries are potatoes, but it's like you have no potatoes. You have no, where's like, you didn't get any broccoli or corn. You didn't, you don't want a drink? Like, they don't have like the full meal. They're just like all of this. And if you go on, this is absolutely fucking ridiculous what I'm saying, but if you have all that, you're not going to win on MasterChef. That's the issue here, right? Look at the freaking Florida Panthers, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Colorado Avalanche. Hell, go back to the Blues, or maybe even the Capitals. And before that, what do all these teams have in common? They have what I've been calling God. And God is goaltending, offense, and defense. And this team is missing out on two of those categories. Now, I know everyone in the comments here, if you're a diehard Edmonton fan, like you said to me, the whole entire playoffs, I get it. I don't think they have the worst goaltending or the worst defense. But to win the Stanley Cup, you need to have everything. Look at each of the teams. Maybe they were not the best. Maybe Colorado didn't have the best goaltending, but they had the best strategy of playing defense with a goaltender to carry them into it, right? Or just like carry them across the line in the gaps that were there. They played a very specific brand of hockey. Vegas was so good when it comes to playing a 200-foot systematic game that, like a SEAL 6 operation is the way Vegas plays, and that's why they work so well in the playoffs. And you look at a team like Vegas where they have the goaltending that is doing everything it can to stop like all these plays and do whatever it takes to save them. The defense that is so heavily loaded with two-way guys that can also put some points on the board, and offensively, they especially do with the Mark Stones of the world and the lines that they keep rolling out there. They're not all getting points. They're not all playing shutdown defense. They can play all areas of the ice. And for the Oilers, a team that clearly needs help with that, with Cody Ceci being obviously not the best guy in the world. Like, Cody Ceci's the Darnell Nurses, which, for the Athletic, what the hell, that is the worst contract in the NHL, or at least top 3, not number 9. Darnell Nurse's contract, like, holding them back. Like, and Evan Bouchard, not to say he's, like, horrible and just the worst, a demon of defense, but it's like, the teams that win the Stanley Cups are held up by the Victor Hedmans, by the Cale Makars, by the Gustav Forslings, like guys who can play both ends of the ice. As much as like Gustav Forsling might be an underrated name, not a lot of credit goes towards him. I know like they tried to in the playoffs, but most people don't acknowledge that. They don't have that kind of guy. Bouchard is amazingly offensively talented, but in the playoffs, he made a lot of bad mistakes. A lot. Darnell Nurse shot them in the foot, point blank. Not even the foot, just like, and like shot him in the heart so many times in the playoffs. And to me, the Oilers were incredibly lucky. Absolutely lucky to get to the point they were at. The first round they play up against the Kings. The Kings are a team that are not ready for the playoffs. They are so not ready for the playoffs, and we know they own their ass already. So that, like, series didn't matter. The Canucks went to Game 7 after the Oilers. How did Game 7, right? Both teams need to win 3 games, right? Offensively, the Oilers could destroy them, but then what happened? 3 comeback wins for the Canucks in that series alone by Stuart Skinner and the defense sucking. they could not help them, and the Canucks were able to come back 3 separate times. In Game 7, they could have lost it, but the Canucks had a huge blow to their lineup, so they get through that, right? Then the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars, a team that had to play so hard against Vegas, had to play for their lives against Colorado, was dead tired, and just having such brutal hockey for the first 2 rounds. The Oilers, a team that can't easily play all the offense in the world, was up against a tired of playing super good defensive hockey, and were able to drown the Dallas Stars. Then Florida, they finally run into Florida with an interesting series of events. But at the end of the day, it is that Florida was able to shut them down with the best goaltending, the best defense, and the best offense overall, being able to play all sides of the ice. The Edmonton Oilers, they only addressed a non-issue and leaned into a superpower of theirs when there were options on the board for them to go for, right? And especially now with the hiring of Stan Bowman, a guy that I don't know how a team, knowing that they're on a high from this whole great run where they're the best team in the NHL ever after American Thanksgiving, which I hate everyone has to freaking say that. I get that Canada has their own Thanksgiving or something like that, but just call it Thanksgiving. It doesn't matter. Just the best team from Thanksgiving and onward, going on this incredible run in the playoffs. McDavid just tying records with Gretzky. And just all these things going forward. All these amazing feats that they were able to do are just not going to happen again. It just doesn't happen. You don't do that 2 years in a row. Sure, a team like Florida can go back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, but it's completely different. They didn't also win the President's Trophy both those years and Matthew Tkachuk and Reinhart got 57 goals together at the same time. You get what I mean? Edmonton did nothing to address the problems that almost sunk the ship earlier in the playoffs, and I don't think are going to live up to the hype at all. So to me, Edmonton, they are done for. They are screwed. They are not going to be able to make it that far. And to me, Edmonton is just not going to make it. They are not a Stanley Cup contender. They might be deadly to some teams, and they might do what they did again this year, where they get a couple of good matchups, especially in the Pacific Division, in their quadrant. In their quadrant of the Pacific. If they run into the Kings or the Canucks again, or even the Canucks, Shelov's was playing, so who knows what happens with Thatcher Demko, but they have a couple of good matchups in the Pacific Division, but once they get to the conference or the Stanley Cup finals, it's that's where you're gonna have to really face the tough competition. But that is all I gotta say, I guess. So if you've made it this far, please, I am begging you, please subscribe, please, and just see, make me smile like this. Anyways, too sweet. I hope you have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.